Hi, I'm Damian Wilson.
I'm John A. Washington.
I'm Serena Weinberg.
And I'm Ben Wood.
Our organization is called the Rwandan Education and Academic Development Organization, also known as READ.
Okay. READ aims to create a more prosperous and gender-inclusive Rwanda through the power of education. Education is the foundation for a more equitable and sustainable future and is what bolsters the younger generation. We will support this initiative through the building of new schools, the hiring of well-trained multilingual staff, the teaching of relevant and highly applicable skills suited for the modern working world, and especially by reaching out to rural education-deprived communities.
Our vision statement: READ envisions a Rwanda in which every child, regardless of gender, location, or socioeconomic status, has access to a quality education, therefore giving them more agencies and choices over the course of their lives.
Now we are going to discuss a brief history of our development priorities in Rwanda and the historical context that surrounds them. Rwanda was colonized in the 19th century by the Germans, and then after World War I, it was given to Belgium in a treaty. The main two tribes in Rwanda consist of the Hutu and the Tutsi, and in July of 1994, tensions between the two tribal groups resulted in a civil war in which a genocide killed at least 500,000 people of the Tutsi tribe. This has greatly stunted Rwanda's development and is still seen to this day.
In Rwanda, there is an extremely high AIDS prevalence reaching about 222,000, and their life expectancy is around 64 years. Only 17% of the population is urbanized, and on top of that, they have many migrants that are returning to their home country of Rwanda after fleeing the genocide. Rwanda has even implemented 2 5-year economic development and poverty reduction strategies, or EDPRS, even with this only 12% of children ages 3 to 6 are enrolled in schools.
In conclusion, Rwanda has made notable strides since the 1994 genocide, but they still have a long way to go until they achieve higher rates of education.
Okay, so our group came up with 3 different objectives under our development priorities. Objective 1 is to increase the literacy rates. The activities that will go along to help that would be gaining reading material and actively teaching with it, and by using our teacher training program to give teachers the skill sets they need to educate. One of the risks that would go along with increasing this literacy rate would be the lack of well-trained teachers and the overall lack of community support or aid. To mitigate this problem, we plan on implementing in-depth training programs and widespread education about the existence of school and the importance of education. And the indicator of the success will be high literacy rates over time. Objective 2 would be to improve primary enrollment. Activities to go along with that would be to build our primary small school and get the community involved in the process. A risk that would go along with that would many families may not be able to let their children go to school as they need to stay home and work and do domesticated activities. But the mitigation for that would be the school would be free, and then we would offer free supplies on top of that, so there's no financial burden for the child going to school. And the indicator of that would be the enrollment of both genders, and it's more balanced among each gender.
Objective 3 is dealing with menstruation. So the activities that are going to come along with this is stocking a separate female washroom with supplies and educating children of both genders on the normalcy of periods and why there should be no shame associated with it, because girls in Africa who skip school because of periods miss up to 21%, or on average 21% of their school years, which is over a fifth. And the risk for this is financial upkeep, because we have to continuously stock pads, so on and so forth. And the mitigation will be crowdfunding, charity funding through NGOs or government, getting the word out there so people want to donate. And indicators that this is working with: seeing less girls who are missing school, seeing more balance between the gender enrollment rates, and the girls' academic achievements will reflect the fact that they are in school consistently. Okay, so here's a very brief 5-year timeline of how our school is going to be run. So for year 1, we're going to start training teachers, stocking supplies, getting books through donation, crowdfunding. We're going to be crowdfunding throughout this entire thing, keep that in mind. Getting permits to build, designing the school, sourcing materials, and starting the construction. Year 2, crowdfunding continues, construction's finished, teacher training is finished. We're going to register students, we're going to give them basic school supplies. The classes will start, we're going to split them into age groups and put them in different time slots to accommodate for the small spaces, such as kindergarten 1st, 2nd and 3rd, 4th and 5th. And yes, For year 3, we're going to collect data, see how it's going, maintain supplies, continue crowdfunding, see if literacy rates go up, and make sure the kids are continuously attending, opposed to just a quick attendance. Year 4, we're going to check up for teachers, community involvement, and start lobbying the government and NGOs for more assistance. And then year 5, we're going to really see, if there's any noticeable change in literacy, because after more time, it'll be more noticeable. And we're going to continue to check up on student enrollment, try and keep the kids in school by, educating them on the importance of education, and look into expansion if the school is successful.
So I'm in charge of the economic plan for everything related to building this project, putting it into place, making sure it happens correctly. So this is my spreadsheet. It's everything related to the finances, from the one-time needs, everything that relates to the structure, the building and building it, the doors, the windows, the wood, the desks and chairs and all that good stuff, and then the recurring needs, all the paper, pencils, books, everything that we need to get in there on a regular basis, and keep going, toiletries, everything to maintain this for the foreseeable future. The only variable that hasn't been placed into this is teacher salary. It's sort of something that's moving back and forth a lot. It's not something that we can compute too terribly well quite yet, because we have to train these teachers and we have to put them into place. So that's what we got. Thank you. There's going to be 2 outhouses. This is an outline of one, but there will be one for men and one for women, or boys and girls. We think it's important to have adequate facilities for both of them, so that they feel as though they can be welcome in school.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah!